I'm so happy so many people are enjoying my Descendants videos. It feels like a dream coming true. Being able to share my special interest with the world like this, it's almost the same feeling as when I wrote a really silly Descendants fanfiction in 2015, and so many people were reading it, including one of the main cast members. That wasn't the first time I tasted a dream of mine through writing fanfiction about a special interest. When I was in middle grade, this cartoon premiered that immediately resonated with me, and I spent all 3 years it aired, and even a couple years after that, writing fanfiction about it. I will be continuing my series on Descendants. I haven't run out of things to say about it quite yet, but I'd like to take this quick break from it to talk about one of my very first special interests, Xiaolin Showdown. How do I explain Xiaolin Showdown now, as an adult, without making it sound like the absolute silliest thing to have a special interest of? It's about these 4 kids, go figure, it's a kids show, and they begin attending the Shaolin Temple as their somewhat school. Well, 3 of them begin attending. Omi has lived there his entire life. He's on the path to be the greatest grandmaster there ever was, to rival his hero Dashi. So, of course, when these 3 other random kids show up, he feels threatened in his standing. Doing what he can to keep his standing, Omi takes it upon himself to begin teaching the other 3 kids. But it's only a somewhat school they're attending. They don't learn academics, at least not that we ever see. Omi takes it upon himself to teach these 3 kids the way of the monks, the way of the elements. But Omi's master, Bung, brought these other 3 kids on to teach him instead. Raimundo Pedrosa, Dragon of Wind, in training, the Brazilian kid from a circus family with 8 brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles coming out of the wazoo. It's his job to teach Omi not to take things so seriously, to respect this when he pants the kid. Kimiko Tohomiko, the Dragon of Fire. When we first see her, she looks like the all-American girl, almost as if she could be one of those dolls, with her blonde wig and her American flag clothing. That's how she knows how to teach Omi. Never dishonor the power of the off button. Clay Bailey, a cowboy from the Lone Star State of Texas, with an overbearing dad and rebellious little sister. This Dragon of Earth is built like a boulder, and he teaches Omi. It's not your weight, it's how you throw it around. As the Shaolin Dragon of Water, Omi uses all of these lessons during his first Shaolin Showdown against the show's villain, because, of course, the show has to have a villain. Jack Spicer, a scrawny teenager with rich parents who pay him no attention. Their friends call him weird, but really he's just bored, and that's why he wants to take over the world. So when he opens a puzzle box, a gift from his father's travels, to the spirits of a 1,500-year-old witch, he immediately accepts her challenge to locate all the Shen Gong Wu. Oh yeah, the Shen Gong Wu. Little artifacts created by Grandmaster Dashi with little powers of their own. There's this Mantis Flip coin, a little coin that allows the user to perform Simone Biles level flips, and the 2-ton tunic, a breastplate that weighs, well, 2 tons, and so on. And if these little artifacts fall into the wrong hands, such as the spirit of Wuya, the world will be thrown into 10,000 years of darkness. Or 9,620. 10,000 just sounds more ominous, but I'm paraphrasing. That's why Dashi hid all the Shingon-Wu 1,500 years ago. But they're becoming active again, allowing the kids' Dragon Companion Dojo to become somewhat of a compass that leads to them. So the kids must find them before Wuya does, another compass that leads to the Shingon Wu. Omi makes it his mission to find every single Shingon Wu before Wuya does. Of course, things go wrong from time to time, new enemies come and go, and the kids come across missions more important than the Shingon Wu at times. From the beginning, Shaolin Showdown paints Omi as the main redeeming character, the hero. There's even an entire episode arc to discover his backstory, but he doesn't really have one. And from the beginning, it was somebody else meant to be the hero. Raimundo Pedrosa, Dragon of Wind, in training, has a tough time transitioning into his role as an elemental dragon. From the day he first stepped foot in the Shaolin Temple, he is made to feel like the weakest link. By Omi, yes, but he also allows Wuya to get into his head. She shows him all the things he's never had before, riches and games and companionship, and he uses the Shingon Wu to give Wuya her witch body back. But then he uses the puzzle box to lock her spirit up once again. And in the end, the very last episode of Shaolin Showdown, Raimundo Pedrosa becomes the team's Shoku warrior, while the other three remain Wudai warriors. They're happy for their teammate, their best friend, even Omi, the hopeful Grandmaster, congratulates him. Yes, Raimundo is the Shoku warrior, but y'all will never guess who my favorite character is. Me, whose favorite Descendants VK is Evie, daughter of the Evil Queen. Oh, you figured it out? Kimiko Tohomiko. And this is where my fanfictions come into play. Little me, and yes, even older me, wholeheartedly believes that Raimundo loves Kimiko as more than just his best friend. There are these little, tiny, minuscule moments. When Raimundo is the only one to bet she can learn concentration, when he's the one to comfort her after her dad's mind is taken over, when she throws herself into his arms as he's an Shoku warrior and she kisses him on the cheek. They love each other. And that's why little me wrote 21 fanfictions about their love, and why the Raiken fanfiction of my heart became the Gabe Nessa novel of my heart. My fanfiction, Yen's Revenge, is Kimiko's story in discovering who her mom really was. She doesn't remember her mom, and she knows nothing of that side of the family. I think I made a couple of the villains, 2 more characters I think love each other, Kimiko's grandparents, but it is Kimiko's aunt who is the main villain. She wants Kimiko dead because Kimiko is the reason her own mom is dead. Y'all will have to remember, I was in middle grade when I wrote this fanfiction. It's not that great. But slowly, as I grew up, I wrote it and rewrote it until it became a story of its own, until it had nothing to do with Kimiko and Raimundo and the love they have for each other, but was instead adopted by characters after my own heart, with a love for each other bigger than my heart is. It's still a story about family secrets, but now it's about dreams too, and about a waning courage, about a love a girl never thought possible. And of course, Nessa Young still hones the powers of fire. I really don't remember how much of my fanfiction my novel holds. Y'all can go check for me if y'all like. All 21 of my fanfictions are still up on fanfiction.net. In fact, I'll drop the link in the description just for y'all. But I still remember when I was just 18, a baby in the writer's world, trying to find a publisher for the first draft of my novel. I knew absolutely nothing back then. A vanity publisher called me and told me they wanted to help publish my book. The lady on the phone was really so sweet. She asked me what inspired my story. I rambled on for a bit, but what I remember telling her about the most was the inspiration behind Nessa's dreams. She has somewhat prophetic dreams. They tell her what her future could be like, but they tell her what her past was like too. I didn't just make these dreams up for Nessa. I told the lady that worked at the vanity publisher, I have these kinds of dreams myself. The kind that pull me out of who I am and force me into a world I don't want to be a part of. I often wake up feeling like the worst kind of person, like I don't know who I am. I'm still trying to figure that out, you know? It's been years and years of fighting to be the best me I can be. And it's been years and years of fighting to get this novel of my heart out there. Over the past 14 years, since that phone call, my novel has been through countless drafts until it finally became something worth writing about. In fact, it became 2 somethings, a duology, and I've learned everything I could over these past 14 years about the publishing world. I've queried drafts that shouldn't have even been looked at. I've written other novels and queried them as well when they also weren't ready. I've received the sweetest critiques and most helpful advice from agents and authors alike. One of my best memories will always be Rochelle Mead telling me about the little novel she wrote for her 4th grade class, a novel about spies, because it's the exact thing I did. I wrote a novel about twin spies, inspired by Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, of course, and put it on my 4th grade class's bookshelf. Sometimes I wonder if it's still there, sometimes I wish I had it instead. I don't remember anything about it, but I know everything about Nessa's story, and I know now is the time to bring it out to the world. Sadly, traditional publishing isn't an option for me. I won't go into the details of why, but if I want to get the proper healthcare to take care of my laundry list of chronic illnesses, well, sadly I have to put the dream on hold. Maybe one day the dream of being traditionally published, of being a well-loved, successful author, will come true for me. But for the time being, I am having to do it on my own. As Boo Boo Stewart said when I gifted him with my novel, I wrote the book, and I drew the cover, and I had it printed, all on my own. And now I'm hoping Nessa's story will find some loving homes. Of Flames and Cocoons is now up for sale as a paperback book in my Ko-Fi shop, and its sequel, Of Wings and Dreamers, has begun posting as an ebook as well. The links will be in the description for anyone who wants to make mine and Nessa's dreams come true.